There is a country known for its market of divorced women seeking a new partner. This country also hosts workers who spend entire days in tunnels, facing very difficult conditions. Additionally, in this peculiar nation, there is a unique community in the world, a village where people are born with visual impairments. Currently, life in this place is very different. It is a place that challenges the limits of its inhabitants, who call themselves the Lords of the Desert. Few people know this forgotten country in the northwest of the African continent. Welcome to Mauritania. Mauritania is a vast country, with more than 90% of its territory composed of arid deserts. Despite these conditions, more than 4.5 million people call this African country their home. Life in Mauritania is marked by severe droughts and sandstorms, along with serious economic problems. These difficulties are largely the result of its location in the middle of the desert. To the north of the country lies Western Sahara, a region annexed and governed by Morocco. Until 1975, Spain colonized Western Sahara, but then abandoned this desolate desert region. Currently, Morocco claims rights over almost all of Western Sahara. Mauritania shares a unique characteristic, being a desert country with access to the ocean. Another country with this particularity is Namibia, in southern Africa. Until 1960, Mauritania was under French rule, and since then, it has been an independent state. However, French is not the main language. It is Arabic that prevails in the country. The population of Mauritania follows the Islamic faith, and Arabic is the official language. Although this society does not have an Arab origin, the peoples of North Africa have roots directly linked to the Berbers, especially those who lead a Bedouin life in the desert. This nomadic and pastoral lifestyle involves raising sheep, goats, and camels. The country's name comes from the ancient Berber kingdom of Mauritania. As the land is extremely arid and dry for agriculture, most of the population is dedicated to animal husbandry, and meat is a frequent component in their diets. These animals provide food, milk, wool, and other essential products for life in the desert. With the vast Atlantic Ocean bordering its coast, it is not surprising that another important source of livelihood is fishing. In all coastal countries of Africa, fishing is crucial for the survival of its people, and Mauritania is no exception. Its coastal waters are rich in fish, although exploitation by foreign fishing vessels has harmed local fishermen. This has led to difficult situations, and it would not be surprising if illicit activities similar to piracy in Somalia emerged. Unfortunately, living a long life is a challenge in these lands, where the average life expectancy is only 64 years, far below the global average. The world has neglected this place for a long time due to the scarcity of resources and poor governmental management. Therefore, it can be considered that, even today, if the geography and economy of a country do not offer prospects for a prosperous life, its life expectancy is likely to be reduced. Additionally, Mauritania receives very few tourists, while its northern neighbor Morocco attracts many visitors. Life in Mauritania remains quiet and not very suitable for receiving tourists. Therefore, Western travelers often think there is nothing of interest in this country, and often exclude it from their itineraries. Even tourism agencies do not consider organizing excursions to Mauritania because they do not see it as a safe destination. Since adopting Arab culture, they have integrated many of its customs. One example is at mealtime, where only the right hand is used and the left hand is avoided. As a strictly Sunni Muslim country, women never wear clothing that exposes their legs and arms. Even if you are a tourist, you should avoid wearing revealing clothing to avoid possible reactions from the local inhabitants. Additionally, men should avoid wearing shorts, even in summer, and opt for long pants. It is also important to avoid physical contact, such as shaking hands with Mauritanian women, as it is not considered appropriate in their culture. From a health perspective, a person visiting Mauritania should avoid drinking tap water, both on the street and at home. The tap water in the country contains various contaminants and harmful components that can cause serious illnesses. There is no adequate treatment to make the water potable. Basically, people have learned to live with this situation and manage with what they have. If restaurants in Mauritania offer Arabic tea after meals, you should know that these offers are not free. The food and drinks offered in the country always carry expectations of financial gain. the average Mauritanian drinks tea about 3 times a day. The capital, Nouakchott, whose name means place of the winds, is a port city located in the west of Mauritania. It is currently the most populous and lively city in the country due to fishing. At first glance, it appears quite modern and promising compared to the desert environment. However, it wasn't always like this, as until 1957 it was a small town with 15,000 inhabitants. After being chosen as the capital, it grew rapidly. The buildings that make up the city are generally low structures, without modern steel skyscrapers. The city has almost no ancient history. It has always been a desert region from the past to the present, and even ancient peoples did not prefer to settle in these arid regions, without trees or water. In the small towns around the capital, it is almost impossible to find paved roads. The transit routes consist of dirt roads. This means that when a car passes, the dust rises. Since not all families have access to a vehicle, it is common to see more people in donkey-drawn carts instead of motorized vehicles. The Mauritanian currency has symbols that reflect the country. For example, due to fishing, there is a boat on the back of one of its bills, while others feature a camel. Due to the desert climate and their religious beliefs, they also have the Quran on their currency. Although the country is not secular, it is governed by a presidential system that follows Islamic rules. The country's flag is quite similar to the flag of the Maldives. The green background of both flags represents Islam, the majority religion. There are radical restrictions on freedom of religion and beliefs. In this context, it is one of the 13 countries that punish atheism with death. In 2018, the National Assembly passed a law that mandates the death penalty for anyone convicted of blasphemous speech and acts considered sacrilegious. Currently, Mauritanians call themselves the Lords of the Desert. In fact, the longest trains in the world pass through these arid lands, reaching up to 2.5 kilometers in length. Basically, through these trains, Mauritania exports iron and copper to various parts of the world. It is very likely that some products you use today contain minerals extracted from mines in Mauritania. Some tourists even travel illegally on these mining trains for adventure. Those who want to escape from the interior of the country to the port or the coast also illegally board these enormous desert trains. In the country, a curious culture is being preserved. Mauritania has a market for divorced women. Women who have separated from their husbands for any reason come to these markets to find new partners. Since the divorce rate among women is very high in the country, and dating apps are not available, this is an alternative they have found. What is curious, or perhaps not, depending on your point of view, is that single men in Mauritania are more inclined to marry divorced women than young single women. In these lands, women are seen in a certain way as valuable resources, and it is believed that divorced women will handle household chores better than young and inexperienced women, in addition to taking better care of their husbands. Also, men think that weaker women will be more vulnerable to the harsh living conditions and avoid marriage. Unlike in Middle Eastern Muslim countries, divorce among women in Berber societies is not against social traditions and is completely accepted. In fact, divorced women sell their household utensils and furniture in markets after divorcing. In this way, they aim to turn this separation into income, considering that divorced women in Mauritania are left without assets or compensation. If a woman and a man divorce, all the household utensils in that house belong to the woman. Thus, divorced women look for a partner and also sell household utensils in the markets. Another curiosity is that these Mauritanian women generally tend to be overweight. This is due to a tradition in the country where they are pressured to gain weight against their will. This happens because men prefer excess weight, considering them more fertile and healthy. For this reason, women tend to overeat to stand out. When it comes to work, don't think that these people only live off fishing or animal husbandry. In this scorching desert, many men also engage in hard and arduous work inside tunnels in search of gold, which might be a hopeful alternative to escape poverty and live better. While part of the team members control the rope pulley system above the well, those with helmets and flashlights undertake an extremely difficult underground search. It is truly collective work. It all started in 2016, when a man accidentally discovered gold in the region. Since then, everyone who heard about this began to dig gold mines in the middle of the Mauritanian desert with the resources they had at their disposal. Some of those who engage in these occupations know that they will not become rich, but they persist amid so many adversities. Here, People's faces are exposed to the desert heat and sandstorms to the point of burning. Despite this, they all have one thought in mind: to find even a single gram of gold. With hundreds of mines, the tunnels continue to be dug. Workers bring stones from underground to the surface. It is said that many men have lost their lives due to this work. Besides being very difficult, this work requires a lot of courage and physical strength. Workers who enter the tunnels do not return quickly. In fact, they stay underground for more than 24 hours, and often up to 48 hours. They eat, drink, and even sleep underground with limited oxygen. The next day, they wake up and continue working in a narrow space. Those who do this work illegally earn income by selling the gold on the black market, as they pay more than state institutions. Lastly, if we descend to the southeast of the country, deep in the Sahara, we will find a unique community in the world, the village called Dali Kumbe, where people are born with visual impairments. Many of the inhabitants of this region are completely blind and cannot see the world in any way. The high rates of hereditary blindness have further complicated the life of the villagers in the desert. Additionally, many complain about the government's failure to provide adequate help. An increasing number of children are born with congenital defects, negatively affecting the community's prospects. When asked about the cause of this situation, villagers often attribute it to divine will. An eye condition has affected the population for at least 10 generations. People live their entire lives with this condition, hoping for government intervention to improve their situation. Despite these challenges, Mauritania is a place where unique aspects of life can be discovered. Its stories, traditions, and unusual cultures surprise those who venture to learn more about this country. Exploring Mauritania is delving into a world full of unexpected discoveries and enriching experiences. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your like and your comment. See you in the next video.